This is a GK Media podcast.
This podcast is part of the GK Media Studios Creators Network, helping people tell their stories. Become a storyteller today and learn about our podcaster network at gkmediastudios.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wellth Talks, here with myself, Garry Kelly, and the legendary Niall Leyden. And Niall, when we met the first time about, maybe a year ago or so, one of the first gifts you gave me was Atomic Habits, the book by James Clear.
Yeah.
And a good friend of mine, Sinead Cassidy, who featured on, I think it was episode 41 of Garry Talks, when she was in charge of sales and marketing at the Goy Races. She's now general manager at Dexcom Stadium. She always spoke to me when I'd meet her for a chat or a coffee on this 1% improvement, constantly focusing on trying to make that 1% of improvement all the time, being consistent. And for me, one of the most dangerous areas in business is complacency, thinking you have it all perfect and nothing needs to change. But the thing I learned so much from that Atomic Habits was it's just to keep trying to make slight improvements all the time for that big picture success.
James Clear says it best. We don't
I said it pretty good now.
Yeah.
I thought of fun on the rug for a month.
Absolutely. Well, I think, to be fair, you're right about it. Well, on a couple of things. Sinead Cassidy, James Clear, Atomic Habits. And you don't need to look at it, James Clear. I'm in the presence of greatness. The one and only GK Media, Garry Talks, #1, entrepreneurship. Humble apologies. I was only hopping the ball. Your team said you're going to have to you give them a scud early on. Where do I start with habits, or where do we start with habits?
Yeah.
It's all of that, Garry, really, isn't it? I mean, it's just them 1% incremental improvements, because there's good habits and bad habits. Maybe let's start talking about bad habits.
True. Yeah.
You're looking at bad habits personified for a big part of my career and my life, with health and wealth and business and family. Well, there was probably a few I was good at, but there was a few I wasn't too good at. So, I mean, I go back to sport, I go back to business. If you look at the All Blacks, you look at Tiger Woods, you look at, the good and great football teams, club teams, rugby teams, you name it. What differentiates a good team from a great team?
So what differentiates Galway from Sligo, is it?
Garry, now easy. Easy with the attitude. We could and should have beaten Galway in Marquis Park. Comer got a great late goal, and probably the only travesty there was we didn't kick on, me being out blowing in Galway to beat our man, Croke Park. But moving swiftly on, home is where the heart is. The kids often ask me, where do you prefer? Where do you love? And I love both counties, but I'd wear a Sligo jersey, and Mark Michelle would wear the Galway jersey. But I mean, the habits one is fascinating, because Dylan and Amy and Damien and the guy were just showing me some of the emails and some of the feedback from listeners. There seems to be a real desire for us to talk around habits and, in business.
And what are our habits and routines and all that as well?
We won't get into them all.
No.
But you're right. I mean,
but it's true though. If the bad habits, the end result is not ever good. So, and I don't know, was it last week or so we were talking about delayed gratification and instant gratification. And like for me, there was the thing of coming home stressed out at the end of the day, opening up the bag of crisps and then having the chocolate and, sitting down then and maybe having a drink or something. And it was this instant gratification need, I need this dopamine hit now.
Yeah.
And all those bad habits build up where, finally I realized, okay, actually I need to stop. I need to start exercising. I need to start watching my nutrition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and that change then of actually implementing good habits has had such a positive knock-on effect. The energy levels are good.
That's
the
right.
head is clear.
That's 100%.
I'm in the right mood when I'm meeting people, when I'm talking to clients, even if a scenario comes in where usually I'd be, or before I'd be maybe, quick to snap back or something, is I'm able to take it because I'm in a much better place. And it's because I've actually started compounding good habits on top of each other.
Compounding. I mean, the eighth wonder of the world. Warren Buffett says it best. I've used that phrase twice now today, using things best.
Yeah, every time I say something, you tell me someone else who said it better.
Dylan is going to tell me later on. So that's 2 cross-odds for me now this afternoon. two today, though.
Just say, and I'll tell you, Gary, who said it better than you there now. But I was, okay, you can compare me to Warren Buffett. That's fair enough.
I was asked to see could I get three.
Okay, let's go for that.
So I'm going for the hat trick. So
yeah, something Sligo never did, but go on.
But I mean, getting back to the habits, even, you know, if you look at, say, in wealth management or, you know, set and forget, people often say, well, you know, what's this new investment or what's this new, if, you know, you don't want it to be new or sexy or the latest thing. You want it to be, in terms of compound, it's like a snowball going down a hill. If you know, let it roll enough, it'll compound.
Yeah.
You plant a tree, you leave it there 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it'll give you shade for decades to come. It's that acorn tree analogy. I mean, there are so many different pieces. So I think with habits, and I always say, okay, what does good look like? What does bad look like? I certainly know I've seen both sides of that coin. And you're right, Garry. I mean, in health, you can't pour from an empty jug. I know I've said this a couple of times, but it's true. You know, and if you get your health right, you know, you're sleeping better, you're moving better, you're thinking better, you're feeling better, your work is better. The team, everything becomes a lot better because I go back to your morning routine. If you get your mornings right, you talked there in one of our recent episodes about carpe diem and seize the day.
Yeah.
We live every day and die once, and it's true. But habits in business, doing the hard things first, put it in the hard yards. I think it was John Power said, I was listening to one of his episodes there recently too. You know,
the CEO of Virgin,
Yeah, like, I mean, and he was right. You know, there isn't any silver bullet or magic wand. It is hard work. It's hard graft. It's doing the simple things consistently, because complacency is the enemy of great. I mean, that comfort zone, that instant gratification, that I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah. The comfort zone is so dangerous. You know, that leading into complacency. Like all businesses that have survived the test of time and done real have constantly been adapting, you know, working with the markets, new audiences, new technologies. And again, even, you know, to touch on AI, we had a team meeting at the start of the week, and one of the things that came up in the team meeting was, okay, one of the 1% improvement strategies we could bring in was to allocate an hour every week on a Friday morning, just focusing on something that will benefit us for the greater picture of what we are trying to do and achieve as a business. So today we were focusing just for an hour. We start at 10, we stop at 11, no matter where we are in the process or the workshop, was focusing on AI and just, again, trying to get that extra bit of understanding of where AI is and where it's going and how we can embrace it and implement it and be aware of it and so on. So it's just that we're constantly trying to tweak and make improvements. And, you know, not to blow our own trumpet, but something as well that we're very aware of here at GK Media is we would run a lot of annual campaigns with clients. And every time when they come back the following year, looking to do it again, the first part of the meeting is, okay, last year was great success. Yes, everyone is happy. Yeah. But what can we do this year that's an improvement on last year? And it's not to have the complacency of last year was a success, everyone was happy, we were happy, you were happy, so let's just repeat it all again. It's this thing of, it was a success, the template is formed there, but now how can we bring it up another notch? How can we challenge ourselves a little bit more, upskill a little bit more, reach a little bit more higher? You got to have that.
You do. And you shared that with us a couple of weeks ago in terms of going back to your clients. I thought this was gold to say, you know, stepping into 2025, it was back around January, February, going back to your 10 or 15, I think, best clients at the time saying, you know, what are we doing really, really well? And what would you like to see changed? And what do we need to do more of? And I mean, that was going back to a little bit of what we talk about, beginning with the end in mind. And you know, if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. But all of a sudden, your team at a target because you got some really good feedback, didn't you?
Yeah. And even you can ask yourselves internally, you know, what should we keep doing in this business? What do we need to stop doing? And what do we need to start doing? You know, even asking
that to me again.
So what do we need to keep doing? So what's working well? What are we doing great? What do we need to keep doing that? Like, we are leading the way in this. But what do we need to stop doing? What are we maybe weak at, or things that are tripping us up, or we're not enjoying? What we need to stop doing, and then what we need to start doing. And whether that is something like bringing in a new service, building the team, upskilling the workforce, look more into AI or new technology or new markets, or maybe bringing in more wellness into the organization or more fun activities, but creating that conversation, what we need to keep doing, what are we good at, what we need to stop doing, and what we need to start
doing. It's like a SWOT analysis, really, Garry, isn't it? Just kind of looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats, and bringing that back to the habits that you have in business, the habits you have in life, the habits you have in your health, and the conversation that you mentioned there, even having it at the kitchen table at home. We have at home, and we talk about it. We don't always do it, but just this whole thing after 7 o'clock, no phones. This. And I'm guilty, go out to the office and you could be there till midnight and get on the road early the following morning. But I mean, just, you lead by example and, it's finish what you start and not procrastinate. But
the compound effect that has where every evening, the phones are put away for an hour, that you're sitting down, you're having dinner, you're chatting about the day, that in years to come, they're memories, and they're good memories, rather than, my memories of growing up in the house was Dad would just be sitting at the dinner table scrolling on his phone while we're trying to tell him about what was happening at school,
And the funny thing is, Garry, I was at an event in Dublin last week and people were just commenting on the conversations we're having and the bit of interaction, and it's on a Friday and it's lighthearted. And they said, will you do a session on a conversation around what are your 10 favourite books and why? And we might just ask the listeners maybe to share with us what they think their best books are. I certainly have my own ideas, but it's amazing. No matter where you go or what businesses, families, children, they're all having the same conversations around health, wealth, business, life. What's working, what's not, what makes you feel good. And I think habits for us under them 4 pillars, it's keeping it simple.
So even go back to, the 4 things that we kind of focus on, the core pillars of Wellth Talks. So we'll say family, ask yourself what improvement, and it doesn't need to be anything massive, because the thing about the 1% improvement is it's little steps that over time have really created a fantastic journey. So, if you want to get into maybe doing yoga, but you're trying to
Are you encouraging me to get into yoga? It's about to be a big mat.
But to start the thing of just getting the yoga mat, rolling it out in the morning, getting your feet on the yoga mat, and just doing that. If you want to start getting into exercise and going to the gym, maybe this thing of getting up in the morning, going to the gym is very overwhelming and it's hard to motivate. So maybe just getting in the car with your gear, driving to the place, start doing that, just drive home again, but start doing that every day for the week. And then maybe week 2, you actually walk in there, you do 2 flexes of a barbell, you walk back out, you get in the car, you turn. You have to form a habit, you got to create a routine.
That's brilliant.
So just start the routine to turn it into a habit. And as you said, show up. So if you look at the core pillars, we got family. So how can you make a slight improvement for you and your family, whether that's turning the phones off for an hour in the evenings, or going for walks when, with the summer evenings being nice or something, or every Sunday you drive off for an ice cream, being present. How can you do it for your business? How can you do it for, the ones you love, for your wealth, for yourself, for your well-being, It doesn't need to be massive changes. So, and this is always the problem with the New Year's resolutions. We suddenly want to, change our whole world. And after 2 weeks, we're depressed because nothing actually got fulfilled in the end. We had to give up. Just little tweaks that we can make.
1%. And it was Garry said this, not James Clear.
He's fantastic,
not Warren Buffett. But I once heard Garry say, 1% better every day is 37% better in the year.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, I mean, that's astronomical. Now, if you're going 1% backwards and you're not applying and you're getting into all the bad habits that, we've had for a long, long time, that'll have the opposite effect. So that 1%, and even the whole steps, whether you're wearing a Warman or a Goop or an Apple or whatever it is you're wearing and maybe wearing none of them, but that 10,000 step analogy, I mean, 10,000 steps is a good number. I think it's 70 marathons.
A year, yeah.
So, I think so now.
Yes. 10,000 steps a day, 70 equals 70 marathons a year. Yeah, exactly.
So it's...
And again, like, there is this thing of, you could... How many people have wanted to get into exercise, going to the gym, and they do like 1 hour or 2 hours, and it becomes a week, and then it actually only becomes a month, rather than that thing and maybe just doing 10 or 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
That consistent thing, that just, it's a little bit, but it's consistent. And builds results
It
over
does, yeah.
time. So it's
compounding. I mean, whether it's set and forget or pay yourself first in financial planning, or just get into the right habits early. Get into whether it's the children's education, to putting it into a savings plan that will do 5, 6, 7% as opposed to 1%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's paying yourself first in terms of extracting money into a pension.
No, but just to even say that little thing again, because we had this before earlier on in a conversation of, you can deposit your money in a savings account and it doesn't always yield fantastic results. But you can even just be strategic enough to say, okay, well, this bank is giving me 1.5%. This bank is giving me 2% even.
Yeah.
But it's better to just take the time out and figure out what interest you're getting. So you're moving it into that 2%.
Well, you're not even getting to it.
You're looking at your electricity bill and you're saying, actually, if I move it over here, I know it's paying the backside. I got to ring up this crowd. I got to cancel. I got to sign up with this thing. But again, that's a little improvement where you're saving money.
But they're little habits, Garry. And I mean, it goes back to what we do when you talk brilliantly about, your clients and GK Media and what you do and how you do it and why you do it and looking for that feedback. And it's all very collaborative and it's very needs-based. And, you're starting with their purpose.
Yeah.
And then you're formulating a plan and then you implement, whether it's a photo shoot or a studio. It's the same as what we do in terms of, it's never about the portfolio. We were with clients yesterday and, there was a folder this thick with, there's so many pensions and investment. Stop.
Yeah.
And 2.5 hours later, we had it distilled down into a page. We now know their purpose, what's driving them, what gets them up in the morning, and it's their family, it's their business, it's their legacy. And then we'll build out a plan, and then we'll get to all of that.
You said something to me, and I loved it. You said to me when we were talking the last day, you said, people need to understand, I'm not an advisor, I'm a planner.
Yeah,
once people know what they want, I plan it. I make it happen for them. I line the cards up for them.
Well,
and I loved that.
It was a conversation that we had with a mutual client on the phone. And, they reached out to us and I'm meeting them in the next couple of weeks. And it was just a huge honor because, they're a phenomenal business. They're doing extraordinary things. And, what was said was, and it was on foot of conversations that we've had here. And they're saying, Niall, I can go to any one of thousands of people for a pension or an investment or a succession plan or whatever that might look like. But I think what you might do differently, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people here in Ireland in this very noble profession doing this exceptionally well and taking the time to do the plans and find out the purpose and all of that. But it goes back to the habits and the habits of sitting down and doing a regular review every 6 months.
Yeah,
and them 6 monthly meetings, it's 80% about the family, about the kids, about the grandparents, about the business, what's working, what's not. Because when you have a plan, you stick to the plan. You don't ever do it. Just slow and steady wins the race. We talk about the hare and the tortoise.
Yeah. And measure things and accountability.
On accountability. And I have to say, it's extraordinary, the momentum in terms of the groups that we're part of, the Power of Seven and SWOT. SWOT is transformative. We're going to have our, coming into Q3 and 4, bringing together people from all over Ireland in all different sectors, doing wonderful things. But their habits are fortnightly meetings.
Yeah, true.
Prepared. What's working, what's not. What would you do differently? What are your victories? What are your challenges? What habits are, so, and I think that's what helps bring these conversations, hopefully on a Friday to life.
Yeah. It's this hunger for learning and improving.
And it's a passion, Garry. It's a passion we both share and both have. There's days we wonder in terms that lean into the vulnerability.
Yeah.
What am I saying and why am I saying it? But to the old self be true. If it's helping some of our listeners out there, which obviously it is with the feedback your team are showing me, it's phenomenal and great pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Well, I think if anyone listening today, if there's something you want to improve on, how can you improve it by even just 1%? What little difference can you make right now that will have that compound effect?
I'll give you one little one now, and I'll finish on this one. We have a dog. It's a cross between a golden retriever and a cocker spaniel, and the door was left open last night. I know I do.
This is Willow.
Yeah.
Willow's lovely.
I'd love to compound. I'd love to get my sleep.
Okay.
Sleep to me is sacrament. If I don't get 7 hours sleep, it's game over. Ball burst. 4 o'clock this morning, bounding up the stairs. And and that has a knock on because if you're not sleeping,
so
true. That's
true.
to your.
So you're going to put the dog down, is it?
On that note, happy Friday. Carpe diem. Well, I'm going to start giving her a sleeping tablet.
Yeah, you
She got
give
the
her
bag.
the nighttime tea that you drink yourself at night with the
Yeah.
magnesium and zinc.
Yeah,
And then she sleeps like 8 hours like the rest of us.
go.
There's your solution.
Daddy, what happened with her? She's out the back. She's conked.
Thanks a million for listening to this week's episode of Wellth Talks with Niall Leyden and myself, Garry Kelly. And we look forward to chatting to you and with you again next Friday.
That's been brilliant. Thanks a million, Gary. Cheers.